Hey guys, welcome to the channel. In this video, I'm going to talk about the top 3 reasons you should be excited for Mass Effect 5. If you enjoy this type of content, remember to like, comment, and subscribe. It really helps the channel grow. Mass Effect has had quite an evolution in terms of its combat systems. In the first game, you couldn't maneuver quickly around corners, roll between cover, and there was a general lack of fluidity in the controls. Back then we didn't care as much because that was all we knew, but the series continually stepped up the fidelity of their combat system with each installment. By the time we got to Mass Effect 3, the controls felt very snappy and the player could quickly roll in any direction, jump into and out of cover, and hop over barriers. Andromeda then went further by adding slides and the jetpack, which added a lot of verticality to the gameplay. With the return of the Mass Effect franchise imminent, the question will get thrown around: what is the combat system going to be like? I would argue that BioWare is going to build on top of their previous combat systems and potentially add some improvements, continuing the pattern of the previous installments. I'm claiming this because I think it's in their best interest to reuse previous systems that worked. Building a brand new combat system from the ground up would be very expensive and would likely take a considerable amount of time. This trend has been common not just in BioWare games but modern gaming in general, so I think it's a safe bet. Now, given that Mass Effect 5 is still a ways out, it's not impossible that they come up with something new, but imagine the backlash if a system was worse than the previous installments. I don't think BioWare can handle another Andromeda. And that's not to say that Andromeda was bad, but it wasn't received well enough to justify further sequels. If you need further convincing that this is the most likely route that they would take, you could take a look at another game that they released, Dragon Age Veilguard. The combat is very similar to the prior game, Dragon Age Inquisition. At the end of the day, I think this is good news. The combat in Mass Effect 3 and Andromeda is fun, and something following up on that style of gameplay with some new features will probably be successful at winning over fans. One of the benefits of an established franchise is that the in-game universe is already full of familiar faces and nostalgia. During the main storyline of the original trilogy, we had the chance to fight alongside the Krogan, the Geth, Asari, Turians, Quarians, and more. And even though Mass Effect 5 probably won't directly involve the exact same squad mates we had in the original trilogy, the universe is still full of the same races we discovered all those years ago. Having said that, from the BioWare teaser, we may see a former squad mate return in Mass Effect 5. I'm talking about Liara T'Soni. We first met Liara in Mass Effect 1, where she found herself held in a stasis field while exploring some Prothean ruins. Later in Mass Effect 2, we helped her confront the Shadow Broker, and in Mass Effect 3, she returned again as a squad mate. Judging by the teaser, she may be back again. You could argue that just because Liara is in the teaser, she may not actually be in Mass Effect 5. I don't think this is the case because BioWare already dangled a fan-favorite character in front of everyone. Backtracking and not actually having her in the game would just upset their audience at this point. BioWare has also demonstrated that they are willing to maintain a character throughout their series. Dragon Age Inquisition and Veilguard, for example, make use of several of the same characters. So I don't think the idea of Liara coming back is unrealistic. This could, of course, make sense, as in-game lore puts the Asari as one of the longer living species of the Mass Effect universe. We could see Liara potentially returning as the Shadow Broker, as someone who supplies information to whoever we will be playing as in Mass Effect 5. Or she could return as a squad mate and directly help the player through missions, and maybe we'll get some dialogue options where she reminisces about her time with Shepard. No matter what role she plays, her inclusion is definitely a win, and a very exciting reason to stay tuned for Mass Effect 5. Mass Effect is a science fiction action RPG, and although it has become more action and maybe less RPG over the years, it still isn't any less of a science fiction game than when the series first began. You can't have a Mass Effect game without the science fiction setting, and that's why it's reason number 3 for why you should be excited about Mass Effect 5. Throughout the Mass Effect games, we've seen BioWare utilize this setting in various ways. A few examples that come into my mind are the space exploration for Mass Effect 1, where we were able to hop around the Milky Way galaxy in the Normandy. You had the sense of freedom that you could go anywhere you wanted. In Mass Effect 2, almost anything that dealt with the Collectors. They were this mysterious race that no one seemed to really have information on, and they were targeting Shepard. Learning their origins was one of the largest shocks in the series. Oh, and we also got to travel next to a black hole to fight them, which was amazing. In Mass Effect 3, we learned that the Citadel the seat of government for the different races in Mass Effect, was actually part of a last-ditch effort by a previous generation to fight off the Reapers. I loved this one because we got a small hint that there was more to the Citadel than just a space station all the way back in Mass Effect 1. I'm really excited to see the new and familiar ways BioWare will utilize the sci-fi setting in Mass Effect 5. There are a lot of interesting and creative science fiction concepts that have been written about in the last several decades, and that means BioWare has a very rich well to draw from. So that's it, guys. My top 3 reasons for why you should be excited for Mass Effect 5. If I missed something, leave a comment below. I hope you enjoyed the content, and if you want to support the channel, you can like and subscribe. I release videos covering Mass Effect and Warhammer on a weekly basis, so if you're interested in that content, stay tuned. Thanks.